Sometimes, if you only focus on the major problem, you can't identify AI use cases. Identify or to uncover the need of AI use case is to break down the problem into sub problems and then attach to each sub problem you attach an analytical step. And if you now see from other side, okay, analytical steps, then sub problems, then it connects to your bigger vision of the company.
Welcome to the Unleashing AI podcast. I'm your host, Pavel Fakanov. Joining me today is Kumar Vishwesh, currently the product manager and the lead for AI, machine learning, data science, and analytics at Intel, and data scientist who actually turned product manager. He's a really influential figure in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And Kumar, welcome to the podcast. Really excited about having you today.
Yeah, same here. I'm also excited to talk to the audience about AI.
Amazing. Amazing. So, can you just briefly introduce yourself? Tell us how did you start in the AI space, what you're doing in the AI space right
Mhm.
now?
Yeah. So back in 2015, I started at a top MNC firm as a junior research engineer. There I was doing some initial level of projects, POC developments in the field of AI. And then I moved to consulting, AI consulting to be specific. There I worked with large banks, fintech companies. And then I moved to another big consulting firm. And there also, my role was mainly to discover AI use cases. Like a lot of business operations were going on, a lot of things were going on without AI. And my job was to spot AI use cases, introduce some cool factor in that. Then I moved to one of the big three strategic consulting firm, and there I was analytics consultant. There also my role was to solve business problems using AI. That was the main focus area there. And there I also started AI product management. We developed some products which were the mirror of ongoing popular AI use cases. And that we used to, we utilize those projects to generate leads for our team. Then I moved to the current firm, which is also one of the leading semiconductor firms. And here I started off as AI product manager, where I was managing an AI product. And that product was deep learning inference accelerator. And then currently within the organization, I moved to another role where I'm making the business operations better using AI technologies, data analytics. So yeah, so this is my journey. Started as a junior researcher, then started consulting, then spotting AI use cases, and just making the work bigger in terms of scope and impact, and then owning an AI product, and then now improving business operations. So I would say like I'm a combination of data scientist plus AI guy.
Okay.
Like data scientist, I'd say like it's more of applied AI, where you use AI technologies developed by some PhDs or some researchers, and then now you have some tool, right? Once you learn those technologies, you know a technique. Now you take that technique and try to marry it with business problems, and then there comes an elegant solution as a result.
Makes a lot of sense and really interesting background. Probably first question I have, what actually motivated you
Mm.
to transition from consulting to applying AI in business operations? I suppose that experience that you got should be like super helpful because when you actually can identify business problems and the way to apply AI, it becomes super valuable for other businesses, but just super interested in that motivation for you.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarity because when I was a consultant, I was not a plain consultant. I was analytics consultant, data science consultant. So there, my main job was to partner with another plain consultant. Plain consultant, that means they are expert of business. If they know finance very well. And I was the guy who used to bring AI technologies into the picture in the problem solving process. So there also I was solving business problems for a client. Now here I'm doing for a product company. So that's the difference. But underlying theme remains same, I would say.
Makes sense. Okay. And considering your current experience in applying AI to business operations, probably just to start with, I
Mhm.
would love to understand why is it actually crucial for businesses, or maybe it's not, to apply AI to their business operations in the current landscape.
See, business operations means what? A business is going on, right? Operations are all, everything is in place. Now, this is an era of intelligent products, correct? If an operation, in the flow of the operation, if there are some portions where intellect is required, then we can replace that decision making with some AI unit, I would say. The first thing, the business operations becomes more efficient, also becomes faster, and it also gives you room for a lot of intelligent automation. You can intelligently automate business operations. Also, you can improve your business operations fairly quickly, I would say. Yeah, so that is the main reason I say. And why only business operations? If I talk about products, right? Any operations which is going on, or any kind of work in a project that is being done without AI, let's try AI, use data to make informed decisions and improve the whole operation and better user experience. So that's like everything works in conjunction, like one thing is
Makes
connected to
sense.
another and all those, and then makes a big and better machine.
Okay, maybe to make it a little bit more practical, can we just consider a couple of examples from your professional experience, how exactly you can apply AI to improve business operations?
Yeah, so I would say like a very typical example would be, and that I have used in some, yeah, to some extent in my past projects as well. A recommender system. Like if when we browse through any social media website or even e-commerce websites, we get a lot of recommendation. Initially, those recommendations when Amazon or Flipkart started 10 years back, right? That was not that matured. Nowadays, while you're watching YouTube videos or watching Netflix or doing shopping on e-commerce websites, it is a lot of things are driven by recommender system that they use behind it. So that leads to what? This leads to more personalized experience, and user gets more. They get into they connect with the app more in a more sticky manner, less churn rate. The recommender system would be a very good example where that has given uptick on the business, because when a person is browsing on e-commerce website, a recommender system can help them decide quickly, and also it can help in upselling, cross-selling. The recommender system would be a good example. Another example that I can think of would be more of uh, like the way we collect the data of users. That is also very important, right? If we have an engine set up to collect the data and analyze what is going wrong and what is going right, then the modifications in the product or in the business operations will be more data driven. And in that, by following that way, we can hit the chord with the customer so quick. And to data analysis, mainly the user analytics, customer data analytics, those are very crucial and important part of any business operations or product. Yeah.
Makes sense. These are really good examples, but let's think about a typical business. Like, not every business obviously can apply a recommender system. I can
Yeah.
say that almost every business right now, digital business, collects users' data in some way. But can we just think a little bit about the playbook for a business to identify how they actually can apply
Mhm.
AI in their business operations, how they can approach this specific problem? Because again, they cannot just start using recommender systems. Like, not every business obviously needs a recommender system. Not every business actually needs to collect the data from their users.
Yeah, you're right. If I have to talk about the playbook, right,
Yeah.
then I would suggest a very good uh, framework, okay, that any business can use. Initially, we should identify the business problems, okay, and break down the business problems into sub problems. And this breakdown should happen in a way that once you solve all the sub problems, automatically your main business problem should be solved. Now you have a big business problem that any business operation can identify, right? They have list of pain points always. They can take a major problem, break down into sub problems, then connect each sub problem with some analytical step. That could be as simple as data collection, getting insights out of data, or improving the way that sub problem can be solved. So then now we have business problem, many sub problems, each sub problem connected to each analytical or data science AIML steps. Now those analytical problems are also designed in a way that once you solve all analytical problems, then all your business sub problems should be solved. And this is a good framework. This is for identification and how identification of the approach. Now, if they want to introduce any AI solution in their current business, what they should do, they should start slow. They should not, throw all the current ongoing things and bring in AI. They should start slow. So for that, we suggest a term called AI value targeting. In AI value targeting, what happens? You have current as is process, okay, that doesn't have any AI, ML, or any analytics. Then you try to solve the same problem using AI and then compare the value that AI is bringing in. There are some additional cost also that comes along with AI, like maintenance, training your employees to be able to execute and maintain the solution. So those things we see. And in AI value targeting, we generally recommend to work on smaller data set, not so big. Take a clean data set, build an initial model. And if you get a good projection out of the result, initial experiment, then we can make it live in the production. And that too we can do in phased manner. And that is where there are a lot of metrics to measure this, right? A/B metrics and A/B testing and all those. So there you can see like which method is clicking more with your current business operations or project.
Makes sense. I probably would add here that the first step that you mentioned about actually identifying these business problems is one of the most important ones because obviously, like every business has a lot of problems. And once you create that chart, okay, you understand this is my main business problem. That's the kind of sub problems I have for that specific business problem. And that's how I can use AI to solve this specific sub problem. You can end up with a list of thousands or let's say hundreds of different sub problems, which
Yeah.
is like can be really challenging for a business, obviously. And in this case, I think it's really crucial to actually identify what is your long-term strategy and what are your, let's say, short-term objectives for your business. So you're not just trying to solve any business
Yeah.
problem you have at the moment, but you first understand what's my business strategy for 3 or 5 years. Where do I want to get as a business? And after that, you create your vision, your AI vision. And based on a list of problems, based on your short term objectives, you actually identify a list of problems that make sense solving right now. And you actually brought up a really interesting topic about measuring ROI of AI solutions. It's a really tricky question, I would say, because it's not really obvious how to approach that specific problem. As you mentioned, you have to spend money on training your employees. Sometimes you have to spend money on building the entire AI department. AI solutions
Yeah.
obviously have ongoing costs. Because of that, yeah, it becomes quite tricky to understand, okay, what's the ROI? Okay, I have spent
Yeah.
hundreds or let's say millions of
They have shelf
dollars.
life.
Yeah, hundreds or millions of dollars on implementing that AI solution. But what's the ROI? It's not super clear all the time.
And just to add here, why I said breaking the major business problem into sub problems. Sometimes, if you only focus on the major problem, you can't identify AI use cases. identify or to uncover the need of AI use case is to break down the problem into sub problems and then attach to each sub problem you attach an analytical step. And if you now see from other side, okay, analytical steps, then sub problems, then it connects to your bigger vision of the company, right? And that is how all things are tied up. Yeah, that happens a lot, and yeah, this is part of hit and trial and all those. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Probably, I also would love to talk a little bit more about that specific step. Let's say you have your business strategy, and after that, you need to create a list of potential AI use cases. In case you can share like some challenges that can happen or some kind of tips you have for that specific process, I think it would be super helpful.
Yeah. Uh, if I take example of text summarization, right? Sometimes if you look at the output, it used to happen in back in 70s as well, right? There were like extractive summarization algorithms. Because what is output? Output is just a summary of a large text. That is the output, and sometimes it is very difficult to measure the quality of output because to some of the stakeholders who are not technical, who are non-AI guys, right? For them, it is just an output. Or if I take example of any prediction algorithm, right? They can do the same sort of thing using rule-based approach, right? If they have to classify an object or a file into one of the categories, they can do some rule-based approach. But yeah, sometimes the process is same. It used to happen in 70s also. Now we are using abstractive summarization. It becomes very difficult to make other people understand, the business stakeholders understand, okay, this is what the value this solution is bringing in. Plus, the other challenge is making business stakeholders aware of the challenges or the error each AI solution has. And it has multiplicative effect. If you have a solution that has multiple models, in first set, a document comes, you classify the documents. That is a classification algorithm that is in the play. The output of that, based on the output of that classification model, you choose a specific text summarization model. If your output of first classification model is finance, then you call the finance text summarization model, and it has multiple. If you do a mistake in first step and then second step, then things gets multiplied. So it's always better to make people aware of the challenges, and that is where we do some trade off, like and it is certainly very difficult. And yeah, so these are the two major things, and that is why in starting I said, like, let's start slow,
Yeah,
and because it is an experiment, right? Do it with a group of do any experiment with a group of users, and then you have another group of users where you test your AI solution and then see the value they are bringing in, and the value should be more in the form of some quantifiable metric you need to decide. Okay, if I use this, then satisfaction level or the average rating of my product is going up. Or if I do this, if I implement this recommendation system, then average sales per user is improving.
makes sense.
Something that kind of metric, if you have, then it becomes quantifiable.
Makes sense. I probably would even mention a broader problem here. So, what you mentioned, executive team sometimes doesn't really understand that fact from using multiple AI models can multiply. I would say here you even can say just educating your executive team how AI actually works, like what different steps you have involved in the process. Because, for example, you need to implement AI solution at a huge enterprise company. And before obviously implementing any AI solution, you need to set up AI culture, you need to set up data infrastructure, and they don't have any of that. And it would be really difficult to explain to them that
Yeah.
you actually need to set up data infrastructure first in case they don't understand what are the steps to implement AI. So
Yeah.
we can mention educating executive team about the way AI works, about possible AI use cases, about the right way to execute, the right way to estimate ROI from using AI solutions. as you mentioned, about the right way to assess how AI solutions are actually working. For example, that you need to multiply mistakes from the usage of multiple models.
Right, right. Yeah, so this is a tricky part, but that is, we should be very informed about this fact that, okay, not all the people in a conference room would be understanding the value. But to make them understand it, the best approach is to understand what they understand well. If they understand numbers well, then it is good. And most of the times their feedbacks are very valuable to any AI solution because they understand the business operations, right? And I see that one more thing I want to highlight here is the secret sauce behind any successful AI solution is a good business understanding, because our brain is the best AI model. Without AI, how a person is doing that task, right? Because if I take an example of claim approval, okay, a lot of claim request comes to my insurance department, and as an agent, I go and check all the entries in a form, and then I use my brain, my historical learning, and then I give my final decision whether a claim is rejected or accepted. So there, if we understand the business process well, at what step and how a person decides by looking at the entries in the form, that will be a good input for your machine learning model, right? Which features you should use, or while deciding, a human is using a two-step method, right? Then we can think of implementing two models. First, to just eradicate the fraud submissions, and then focus on genuine submissions, something like that, like a fraud detection model, then a classification model, something like that. So that is what, right? We should understand their thing. And also, when we you tune your model, right? It's always good to talk to business operations, the business stakeholders, to understand where the risk is. And if you be upfront and say like 30% of the time it might be incorrect, then how to handle it. And then in that case, the expert of the business would have a better answer.
Makes sense. It's a really good point, and I think many engineers actually miss that crucial component of understanding how the process actually works before optimizing. And one more example I can add here is just about the kind of features that make sense using for that specific problem. Because once you understand how a human actually approaches that specific business problem, what kind of inputs they actually take to provide the output, you also understand, okay, in case I need to automate that process, that's the kind of features I will need anyway. Because without these features, even a human will not be able to complete that specific task.
Correct, correct.
Okay, amazing. Probably one of the last questions I have from my side is about, in case you need to, let's say, give one piece of advice to businesses that are looking to implement AI in their operations right now, what would it be?
Yeah, they should not be extremist. What I mean by saying extremist is I encountered two types of people. One, they are too much fascinated by AI. Like if they think like once they implement AI, everything will be magical. And the second thing would be like the people who don't want to implement AI. They are completely in the other party. So that is why it's better to experiment. Instead of hard cemented mind, we should approach any business problem with sponge mind, where we can give a room to experiment, try out the solution. Don't invest in one go. Invest in phased manner. Suppose if you have 10 business operations, pick up a business operations where you see an AI can be super effective. You have to prioritize, because in a business operations, there are many unit, right? One is for task A, one is for task B. Pick up a unit or a sub unit, implement it, see its effect, positive effect, and then you implement it gradually and make it automated. And why we suggest implementing it in phase manner, there you also get an idea, right? what is the maintenance cost, infrastructure cost. Once you implement at one place, then you can estimate in a better way. Like if I go on and implement it in all my operations, what would be the cost, and how frequently I need to manage the model, because every model has a shelf life. Or if you want to introduce some continuous learning, that you can do. And also, I would say, one more last advice. Sometimes, and this is very typical to engineers, okay, engineering companies, they want to build everything from scratch. If you can use an AI service, by there are a lot of big players, AWS, Microsoft, OpenAI, right? If you can use their service and make your business operations better. At the end of the day, you are using a model, but as a service. If that is a cost effective versus hiring a lot of geeks, implementing the model from scratch, then this is also a very important decisions people make. And yeah, that is also very important thing to consider.
That's super valuable. Yeah, we got even more than one piece of advice. But
Yeah.
yeah, first of all, really appreciate it. It's definitely super helpful. And I specifically like the part that you mentioned. And I 100% can relate to that problem in engineer first organizations, that they're actually looking to build everything from scratch. Like it can be already built like 100 times by 100 different teams, but they still want to build it from scratch themselves. But yeah, Kumar, again, really appreciate it. I specifically like the part you mentioned in the very beginning about the way a company actually can approach the implementation of AI in their business, where they first identify a list of problems, and after that, they actually create a list of sub-problems and connect them to possible AI or data analytics solutions. Was definitely amazing. And the last piece of advice you also got from your side was super valuable. Really appreciate it. And thanks a lot for joining the podcast.
Thank you very much.
The Unleashing AI podcast is brought to you by Unleashing AI. To find out more about Unleashing AI and how innovative, custom-built AI can help your business, visit unleashing.ai. Also, make sure to search for Unleashing AI in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Unleashing AI, thank you for listening.